Okay, if we finna go live, baby. We finna go live, okay?
She's now an advocate against domestic violence, hoping to create a home for victims here in Pensacola.
And when I turned back around, a shotgun was facing me and he shot me.
Williams was shot in the stomach, killing her unborn baby she had named Jamie.
She saved my life. You're not alone. You're not alone. And if I came out, you can come out.
All righty, welcome to another edition of No More Silence. I got with me my guest is Mrs. Carolyn Williams. Carolyn, welcome back to another edition of No More Silence.
Yay! Hi, Vernon.
How
Glad
are
to be
you?
with you. I am doing great. I am doing great. I really am. I'm doing great. Yeah. Been busy, but I'm doing great.
Oh, very good, very good. All righty then. But it's so great to see you again, and a lot had happened over the months. So let's talk about why we shouldn't stay silent in domestic abuses situations, sugar.
Okay, when you stay silent in that situation that you're in, 9 times out of 10, you can get killed. You need to let someone know that you're in a domestic violence relationship. You don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to be afraid. There is so much help that is available. Vernon, next week I'm going to have someone from the Pensacola Police Department that works with the victims' rights is going to be on, and she's going to share with us all the information, everything that is available. So I'm going to have a guest on next week. So you don't have to stay in that situation. You may feel like you're all alone, nobody understand, nobody ever been through that, and you're ashamed, but you don't have to stay in it. Ask me how I know, because I was in it. And I stayed silent. And when I stayed silent and did not tell anyone, that's when I got shot.
Wow, wow. That is absolutely your story is an amazing story, Carolyn, and I think the world ought to hear it. Okay, because I believe you're a good example of why people should not remain silent. There's no more silence. And I think you come to the reality of that. Silence is a killer. And it could be a
Yeah,
killer. Yeah. And
yeah.
so we got to let folks know how important it is to speak out in situations that you're in. I don't care how bad it is. Tell somebody. Confide in somebody. Just leave some bread trails somewhere that somebody know what's going on into your environment. Basically saying though, Carolyn, it is not really hard to figure out what's going on. People sometimes may be, a little at R about what to do about it. But there's always signs there and always something when people isolate you can tell me better than some of those signs that when these controlling people come in your life and they isolate you from everybody else, that certainly is a red flag there. Can you talk about that?
And that is a red flag when they don't want you to have a relationship with your family, your friends, or anyone, and they want to keep you all to yourself. The reason why they want to keep you all to yourself is they're afraid that you're going to tell somebody. And they know that once it's out, about what they're doing, because so many times what happens is they pretend like they are the good person, that they are the loving husband, they are the loving boyfriend, and they want to make you look bad. So therefore, no one would believe you. So every time when they go around the family or they around your friends, everybody think, oh, she's got such a good husband. She's got such a good boyfriend. So they try to make their image, they try to make their self look good. And so therefore, they don't want you to say anything, but they try to isolate you and keep you all to themselves. If they can isolate you and keep you all to themselves, what they're doing is, that is the beginning of the mind control. And Vernon, what I want to touch tonight um, is anger. You know, we're living now not only with a domestic violence, but world. You so anger. You see so much violence, even with the young people, because they don't conflict resolution. They don't know conflict resolution. So what they believe in always is striking out. So you need to ask yourself, if you're the type of person, when you get anger, you're secure or possession, like to be a possessive about your partner relationship or others, including your family or friend, that you want them all, want them all to yourself. That is a sign. That is a sign. And also, if they're frequently calling you and texting you, and your partner want to check in and always want to monitor your movements. Where are you? What are you doing? Where you at now? And they want to monitor everything that you are doing. That is a sign. And what happens, Vernon, that builds up anger when you don't tell them, and when they don't know, and they're just sitting there and they wonder, well, what she's doing? Who is she with? Always blaming you or being with someone. So in their mind, they're getting angry. That anger is building up. The Bible says to be angry and not to sit and sin not. So there is good anger and there is bad anger. And so the good anger is when, you see something going on in your community that is injustice, and it make you angry where you want to do something positive about it. So, and then they're always blaming you for their action. Well, I'm doing this because I'm on drugs, because I'm on alcohol, or something like that. They all want to justify. They want to justify why they anger. So people have to know that it always starts with that anger, and it builds up. And when it starts with that anger, Bernie, what's going to happen next is, that's when the physical abuse, that's when they're going to start beating you, when that anger is setting in. So, and I tell people all the time, if they're threatened that they're going to harm you, and a lot of times what we do, I know I didn't believe that. No, he's not going to do that. No, I didn't even pay no attention to that. So if they're telling you, they will tell you what they're going to do before they're going to do it. Right. So if they tell you they're going to harm you, if they telling you they're going to kill you, if they telling you they're going to do these things to you, you need to believe what they are saying. And if they get angry about little small things, and they just fly off the handle, and they get mad about it, you need to take all this in consideration and say, you know what? This is not normal. But Vernon, you know what? Most women think that that is love. They really do. But you never experience true love. You think that this is love. You think that they really care about you. But that's not the case. That's not the case.
Hey, Carolyn, on a technical note, will you do me a favor? Bring your camera down just a little bit, and then be avoid from shaking your camera there, okay?
All right. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's better. That's better. Thank you very much. Yeah. A lot of folks think that's love, Carolyn, and they mistake that for love, because they would even they would even much tell you, but they'll tell you, I wouldn't do this to you unless I love you. And make you the victim. If it wasn't for, you made me do this. I mean, like they went to a school to learn this stuff, But if they all those patterns are all the same patterns. And ladies and gentlemen who you that are involved in these situations, look at those red flags. The red flags don't always be red. Sometimes they be yellow flags, and sometimes even be green flags. But if you see the little yellow flags, you better believe it's gonna eventually, like any red yellow light, gonna become a red light. Okay, and so take
Yeah.
note of those situations. They'll tell you, "Oh, I'm just playing," when they do something to you. That's a yellow sign for you. Okay, and they do something to you. "Oh, I'm just joking." Or, that was a sign. If you leave it unchecked, it's going to be worse than that. Carol, you tell your story. I want you to tell this story to folks that probably hadn't heard your story again. Okay, I
Okay.
think you a good example of why people should not stay silent anymore, because you went through it. You went through it several times. So tell your story again, so that is the reason you're sitting here tonight, because it took you a minute to get it. Okay, took you a minute to get it, but you got it. Okay, so
I
I
got
want
it.
I want folks to hear your story. Okay.
Okay. Well, Vernon, growing up as a child, never had that father's love, or never knew what love was. So when someone tell me that, when a man come along and say, "Well, I love you, and you so fine," and this and that, I always related love with sex.
Hmm.
Because if you never had true love, you don't know what true love is.
Mm-hmm.
So, being in that was not when I got shot, that was not my first relationship of being an abusive relationship. I had been in two other ones, which was the first one was emotional abuse. A man that really did not love me, did not care for me. He will only want to be with me when he wasn't with his girlfriend. So that was emotional abuse. And then my second one was the abuse where, being physical abuse, where I would take off running, and uh, really I stayed in that relationship because I already had two children. I did not know how I was going to make it out. I was a single mom. And a lot of times when you are a single mom, you get involved with the wrong relationships. So what I did was I ended up getting involved with the wrong relationship, and where Jamie's house is located. So I
Sure.
would run all the way from that location all the way down to on Blunt Street, where my boyfriend would be chasing me, and I would just take off running. So after that relationship, I had my baby, my youngest girl. I had her, and wondering how I was going to make it. Staying there with my grandmother. Got three kids. Didn't like being in that predicament, and so I met this guy, and he would play with her, and I saw how much he would provide for her. Anything I asked him for, he would provide for that. And I had known him no longer than probably about 2 months, and we went away and got married. And after I married him, I'm like, okay, now where we're going to stay, where we're going to live. And we lived at his mother's house, and I had during that time I had three children, and it was a total of five of us. And we live in that house. He didn't want me to work, so I say, "Oh my goodness, I got me a good husband," because he doesn't want me to work. And so I didn't have to work. All I had to do is just stay
Carolyn,
home, and
Carolyn,
yeah, yeah,
that's one of the yellow signs there. When I don't want you to work, baby,
that's it.
that's a yellow sign which showing. Go ahead.
That's a yellow.
Yellow
That's a
flag.
yellow. That's a yellow. But you know what? What you think is, okay, this is a good man. He just wants you to be at home. He doesn't want you to work. He's going to take care of the family. But you really, what happens, Vernon, is you don't recognize that. If you never, even though I had experienced that before, being in two others, this one was different. This was really different. And you get to the point where you see what you want to see. You
Right.
believe what you want to believe. You could convince yourself a lie. You could convince yourself, no, that's not so. he really loves me. So I'm staying there, and it started off where he would tell me things like, okay, if you ever leave me, I'm going to kill you. If I catch you with someone, I'm going to kill you. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, he really I didn't think of so much about the killing part. I'm like, oh, he really loved me. He really cared for me. And so he would always put that in my head. So even though I was this good wife, and I wouldn't dare, I loved him so much, and I would never do anything to mess up our relationship or our marriage, because I knew if I did, how was I going to take care of my kids? But later on, I didn't know this at first, that he would become angry. He would accuse me of doing things which I knew I wasn't doing, would accuse me of being with someone, or either if I did something, it was always my fault. If you hadn't did this, I wouldn't react this way. So therefore, I had to always try to do things to please him so that he wouldn't be angry. I was so concerned about how he felt,
Mm.
and not me. It was always to please him, and not knowing that I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. They are not going to take responsibility for their action. It's always going to be you, because as long as I can blame you, then I don't have to do anything about it. You follow what I'm saying? Because
Absolutely.
think about this. When you say, okay, I'm wrong, it's me, then that means you got to do something about it. But if I can
Right.
blame somebody else, then I never have to change. Even though we want them to change, but if they can't see that they're doing something wrong, they would never change. So I thought about it. I said, okay, maybe if I already have 3 children, so maybe if I have a baby by him, maybe things would be peaceful. Maybe it'll be a better relationship. So I got pregnant by him. I
Mm.
got pregnant by him, and he was very happy that I was pregnant. I said, "Oh, this is great." He's happy that I'm pregnant, and that didn't last long. Even though when I was pregnant, he would never be at home or anything. And one night I had a dream. In this dream, I saw this baby. It was a little girl, and she had beady, curly hair, and she had big jaws because he had big jaws. And so I told him, I said, I said, I saw the baby, and she's not gonna live. And he said, you must be you're crazy. You're out your mind. You're out your mind. I said, no, she's not going to live. I seen her, and she's not going to live. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to name her Jamie. His name was James, and I said, I'm going to name her Jamie. So probably about after I had that dream, I think it was probably about 2 months later, and that's when no, it was May the 25th. 2079. Before that, he had got hurt on his job, and I had his car, and he wanted me to come and get him, and I said no, because the doctors say that you're gonna have to go through therapy and everything. But it was my sister's birthday on the 24th, and I said I'm just gonna stay over my granny house and just celebrate, because I had been back and forth to the hospital. I'm pregnant, 7.5 months pregnant, going back and forth to the hospital, going back to school to get my degree because I didn't finish school, trying to get my high school diploma. And I decided that I was gonna stay over there. But anyway, he called the next morning, told me to bring him his car. I said, no, I'm not bringing the car because the doctor said that you had to go through therapy. And he just kept calling. And I told my grandmother, I said, okay, I'm gonna go. And she begged me, Bernie. She said, Carolyn, if you're going to go, let the children stay here. And I said, no, Granny, everything is going to be okay. So I got in the car, went to the house, and we started arguing. And he told me I had been with somebody and all this crazy stuff.
Oh,
And I
at
told him,
seven
I
and a
said,
half month pregnant, he was accusing
seven
you,
and a half months pregnant. I was
and he
7.5 months
and he was
pregnant.
he was trying to accuse you of being with somebody at 7.5 months pregnant.
Yeah,
Go.
yeah,
Continue.
yeah.
Continue.
And so I said, okay, I couldn't take it anymore. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some clothes, and I'm just going to go back to my granny's house. And whenever we would argue, my children would always gather around me. And what I did was I went to the dresser to get some clothes. And when I went to the dresser to get some clothes, and I'm getting the clothes, and I turned around, and when I turned around, I was facing a shotgun, a 22 rifle shotgun, and he shot me. He was not going to let me go. Um, Verna, I'm in a way I'm sorry that that happened, but in a way I'm glad that he did not shot me. He did not shoot me in my chest. He shot me in my stomach. And when he shot me in my stomach, the bullet made 7 holes, cut off the feeding sac of the baby, and it landed on my pelvis. And the doctor said that if I had not been pregnant, I would have died.
Mm.
She saved my life.
Wow.
She saved my life.
Wow.
She saved my life. Yeah.
Okay.
So I want a woman to know that, you know, your story might not end up being like my story. But one thing I can say, if you stay in that relationship, if you stay there and you don't get your plan and you don't give and you don't get out of that, it's not going to lead to better. It's going to lead to worse.
Right.
It's going to lead to worse. If he's not willing to recognize that he has a problem, that something is wrong with him, if he does not recognize that and say, you know what, I want to go and get counseling. If he does not recognize that, and he's always blaming you and making you the scapegoat, what's going to do is it's going to escalate, and it's going to get more and more and more, and it's going to take it. It always take it further. It always go to another level.
Yeah. But Carolyn, tell them, just continue to tell the story. After you get out of the hospital, what happened? After all the shooting. Go ahead.
Okay, when I was in the hospital, I kept asking the nurse, and I kept asking the doctors, "Where's my husband? Where's my husband? Why my husband haven't came to see me?" And they would say, "Well, I don't know." And finally, his mom came, and I asked her, I said, Where's James? Why James have not came up to see me?" And she said that, he was afraid. I said, "Afraid of what?" He was afraid that, that he was going to go to jail or whatever. I said, "No." I said, "Tell him to come and see me." So he came up to see me. And Vernon, when he came up to see me, it was like a little boy. He laid his head on my lap, and it was like I was mom and he was a little boy. And he was crying, and he was saying that, he didn't mean to do this, and he was sorry, and asked me to forgive him. He never wanted to kill his child. And I actually believe that. And so someone from the sheriff's office came in, and they took my statement and everything, and they were saying what they was going to do. They was going to prosecute him. I said, "No, it was a mistake. He did not mean to do that." I lied. I practically lied and said what was happening was that, I had the gun, and I was playing around with the gun and everything, and then he had the gun, and he really didn't mean to shoot me. But I want to go back and tell you this, Vernon. He wanted this gun for his birthday, and I bought him the gun. I got the shotgun for him for his birthday. But anyway, so what I did when I was in the hospital and stuff, I told him everything is going to be okay. I went right back to the house. I went right back. I went back and we acted as though both of us we acted as though nothing had ever happened, and things was great. I mean, it was great for about 2 months, and so then what happened was after that, my son was playing with his sister, which was my baby, and he said something. He said, um, "I'm going to shoot you like James shot mom." And that day, I never allowed my son to have a gun.
Okay.
I never allowed him to have a gun. And I went back in the state's attorney's office. They called me and they wanted me to give a statement. And I went down to see them, and I told them that he didn't mean to do it. It was a mistake and everything. And we went back together, and then it started all back over again. It started over with the anger. He was mad. He was accusing me of being with someone. He accused me. I mean, just the little things, whatever he could find that I was doing wrong. I could never do anything that was right.
Carolyn, I know
I
you
was
got a
prepared.
I know you got a real compelling story. We're running out of time, but we got about 2 minutes. But I want you to tell them again what made you decide to get out of it at that point. Okay?
What made me get out of it is when we had an argument, and he said that the only thing that I regret is when I had a chance to kill you and I didn't. And he reached down under the couch to get his gun, and I took off running, and I ran to a lady's house, an old lady's house down the street, and she called the police. I was in my nightgown and I took off running. That's
Wow.
what caused me to get out. And Bernie, not only that, today, this day, and 1980 is when I finally got my divorce.
Wow.
On this day.
Well,
1980 is when I finally got my divorce.
well, your story is absolutely compelling, and I hope people could hear your story and try not to pass judgment. That's what they happen to do because you were caught up in a situation. You went back, your man down there killed you. You went back. You see how easy it is to get caught up into that. Okay, and so folks need to understand that and understand it with care and passion, and try to help folks to get along, because I imagine nothing that anybody could have said and done to you to change your mind at that time. You was in that under that spell, if you will. But Carolyn,
Yeah.
we got to roll. But just tell them how they can get help and how they can roll. We got about less than a minute to do this. Okay.
Okay, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233, or the Florida Domestic Violence, which is 1-800-500-1119. Favorite House, 850-434-6600, or 850-626-56000. And if you want to call Jamie's house, you can call 850 and speak to me, 291-4624. And if you would like to visit our website, it's www.jamieshouse.org. Either you might want to donate to Jamie's house, where a mom and a family is living. That's $ Jamie's, JAMIES, house, HOUSE 20.
Yep. And if you want to be a guest on the show, just give them a call here at 850-291-4624. But we got plenty to talk about, but we'll pick it up next month on the 4th. We're here on the 4th Thursday of each month from 7 to 7:30. Okay?
Yeah, that'll be August the 24th. That'll be August the 24th. We'll be back on at August the 24th, and I will have a guest on August the 24th, and you might be able to call in if you want to ask her some questions.
All right. But thank you, Sugar. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Same time. Thank you now. All right, folks. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.